Welcome to Zoe Stories. Mom walked in while I wore her tight dress. I never meant to touch her clothes, but curiosity has a way of betraying you. Alex had always been cautious, almost painfully so. At 19, he had grown used to the background of life, a quiet existence where mistakes could be avoided simply by staying invisible. His mother, a strong, commanding woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper tongue, had kept him in check since his father disappeared years ago. Alex had learned early on that crossing lines, especially hers, was a mistake. Yet that afternoon, the house was empty. The dull hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the old wooden floors were his only company. He had been sitting in the living room, scrolling through his phone, when something caught his eye, a glimpse of her wardrobe through the slightly ajar door of her bedroom. He shouldn't have looked. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. The dress was impossible to ignore. It was tight, black, and sleek, the kind that hugged every curve with unapologetic confidence. Alex's heart thumped loudly in his chest, a mix of fear and an unexplainable fascination. He knew he shouldn't, yet his eyes traced the contours, imagining what it would feel like against his skin. He shook his head violently.
"Stop it, Alex."
"You're being ridiculous." But as if propelled by an invisible force, he found himself standing before it, his fingers trembling as they brushed against the soft fabric. The material was smooth, luxurious, not the stiff cotton of his t-shirts or hoodies. His pulse quickened, and an unexpected warmth rose in his chest. Just a peek, he told himself. Just to see if it fits. The words barely left his lips when he found himself unzipping the dress, slipping it over his arms, and hesitantly stepping inside. The first touch of the fabric against his bare skin sent shivers down his spine. The tightness around his chest and waist was alien but strangely thrilling. Alex hesitated in front of the mirror. He barely recognized the reflection staring back. The familiar sharp angles of his jaw were softened by the curves of the dress. His normally broad shoulders seemed smaller, more delicate. Even his hands looked dainty in this new light. A flush crept over his face, both from embarrassment and something darker, something unspoken. His lips parted slightly, and he couldn't stop from brushing a hand over the silky surface. "What am I doing?" He turned this way and that, watching the way the dress clung to his body. The mirror was unforgiving, yet mesmerizing. He had never felt so exposed or so alive. A sudden creak of the floor made his heart jump violently. He froze, eyes darting to the bedroom door, and then the world seemed to stop. Mom stood there. Her eyes were wide, a mixture of shock, disbelief, and amusement. I can explain," Alex stammered, panic clawing up his throat. "I didn't mean." But she didn't move, didn't speak. She simply crossed the room, slow, deliberate, her heels clicking against the floor like the ticking of a clock Alex didn't want to hear. Alex wanted to run, to rip the dress off and disappear into the shadows of the house. But her gaze pinned him to the spot, a predator observing a trapped prey. Instead, words came out of her mouth that made his blood run cold. "Well, this is interesting," she said softly, tilting her head. "I never thought you'd try it on, but here you are." Alex swallowed hard, heat rising to his ears. I'm sorry. I was curious. I didn't mean to." She raised a hand, silencing him. Her smile was cruel, teasing, yet there was a strange softness there too. "Curiosity can be dangerous, Alex. But sometimes it teaches lessons you'll never forget." Alex's mind raced. Lessons? What kind of lessons? She circled him slowly, her eyes tracing the curves of the dress clinging to his body. Every step she took made him acutely aware of how exposed he was, how feminine he looked, how completely vulnerable. "Take a good look at yourself," she said, pointing to the mirror. "Do you like what you see?" I don't know," Alex whispered, his voice barely audible. "It feels wrong." "Wrong." She laughed softly, a sound that sent chills down his spine.
"No, Alex."
"It's very right, very natural. You just don't know it yet." Panic mingled with something else in Alex's chest, a strange flutter of excitement, confusion, and fear. His hands gripped the fabric of the dress, tugging at it instinctively. Her voice softened suddenly, almost motherly, yet still laced with control. "Leave it on. Just for now. Let's see how it feels to be someone else, even for a little while." Alex wanted to protest, to run, to strip the dress off and lock himself in his room. But the commanding tone in her voice, the way she stood there watching him, made resistance feel impossible. "I have no choice," he thought, his pulse pounding. Mom smiled knowingly, turning on her heel. "I'll leave you for now, but tomorrow we'll begin properly. Don't get too comfortable just yet." Alex's knees nearly gave out as she left the room. He stared at himself in the mirror, trapped in silk and black lace, heat flooding his face. His own reflection felt alien, his body strange and alluring. And for the first time in his life, he wondered what if he liked it too much. Alex heard the soft click of the bedroom door closing, then silence. Alone, he traced the fabric along his body again, a mix of guilt, fear, and something he couldn't name, a dangerous curiosity that was just beginning to take root. I froze as she crossed the room, eyes sharp, lips curling in amusement I didn't understand. The morning sunlight spilled through the blinds, painting stripes across Alex's bedroom floor. He had barely slept, haunted by the memory of last night, the feel of the silky dress, the curve of the fabric around his chest, and the way his mother's eyes had lingered. He tried to convince himself it was just curiosity, nothing more. "It's not who I am," he muttered, tugging at his hoodie, as if the familiar fabric could erase the memory. But the memory had a weight, pressing down on him, undeniable. And then a knock. "Alex," his mother's voice floated from the hallway, smooth, commanding. "Come out." His stomach twisted. She didn't ask, she commanded. Hesitantly, he stepped into the living room. Mom sat on the edge of the couch, one leg crossed over the other, her arms folded. Her expression was unreadable, a perfect blend of amusement, curiosity, and control. "You've been busy, haven't you?" she asked softly, though the tone carried unmistakable authority. I didn't," Alex began, but she cut him off. "Save it. I know what you did last night." His face flushed crimson. How could she know? I was curious," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean anything." Mom tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "Curiosity," she mused, "is a dangerous thing, especially when it teaches you more about yourself than you ever wanted to know." Alex shivered. Something in her gaze made it impossible to look away. It wasn't anger, not exactly. It was something far worse, a silent understanding that she held the power now. She rose gracefully, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor like a metronome counting out Alex's panic. "You need to understand, Alex," she said, voice calm but firm, "that actions have consequences. Sometimes those consequences are transformative." He took a small step back, instinctively placing his hands on his chest. I don't want any transformations." Mom's smile widened, almost predatory. "Oh, you don't get a choice," she said. "Not anymore. You're going to wear the dress again. And this time, you're going to understand completely." Alex's heart thudded violently. He wanted to scream, to bolt, to hide, but the weight of her gaze pinned him in place. Every fiber of his being screamed resistance, but a part of him, a small, guilty, curious part, felt drawn. She reached out, not harshly, but with deliberate intent, tugging at the hem of his hoodie. "Come," she said, guiding him toward the bedroom. "It's time for a lesson. And lessons, my dear, are best learned when you can't look away from the truth of yourself." In the bedroom, the dress lay neatly folded on the bed, as if waiting for him. Alex's pulse raced. He could feel the familiar silk under his fingertips as he lifted it hesitantly, aware of every movement under her watchful eyes. "Put it on," she instructed softly. "Step into it. Don't think. Just do." Alex obeyed, trembling. The moment the fabric slid over his arms and torso, the world seemed to shift. He felt exposed, fragile, and disturbingly alive. His reflection in the mirror showed a version of himself that he barely recognized, delicate, feminine, and vulnerable. Mom circled him slowly, inspecting him as if he were a sculpture she had carefully molded. "You see," she murmured, "you're more receptive than you thought. More beautiful, even." The word pierced him like a blade. Beautiful?
Me?
His hands fluttered nervously over the silky fabric, over the curves the dress accentuated. He wanted to argue, to retreat, but the mix of embarrassment and something else made him freeze. Mom crouched slightly to his level, her eyes locking with his. "Don't resist entirely," she said, voice soft but commanding. "Curiosity brought you here. Now, let it guide you." Alex's knees nearly gave way. The weight of her authority, the pressure of her expectations, the undeniable thrill of being seen like this, all collided inside him. He felt trapped between two worlds, the boy he had always been and the version of himself his mother now demanded he explore. "Tomorrow," she said, standing upright again, "we begin in earnest. Tonight, think about what you felt. Every moment you try to deny it will only make it stronger. You can't escape yourself, Alex." She left, closing the door softly behind her. Alex was alone, heart racing, trembling, and more aware of his body than ever before. He stood before the mirror again, tracing the contours of the dress along his chest and waist. His reflection stared back, unfamiliar yet captivating. And for the first time, he realized that this was no longer just a mistake. It was the beginning of something much bigger, something he wasn't ready to understand, and yet couldn't deny. Alex heard the soft click of her bedroom door shutting upstairs, and he knew, with a mix of dread and curiosity, that tomorrow, nothing would ever be the same. I couldn't believe she was serious. She wanted to train me like this. Alex woke to sunlight spilling across his bed, but sleep had done little to calm the storm of thoughts in his head. The previous night's memory, slipping into the silky dress, Mom's piercing gaze, and the way she had left him trembling, replayed in his mind like a scene he couldn't erase. And then came the realization. Today wasn't just another day. Today, Mom had promised, was the beginning of his lessons. He tried to avoid it. He considered hiding under the bed or locking himself in his room. But he knew it was useless. She would find him. The thought alone sent shivers down his spine. A soft knock on his bedroom door shattered his hesitation. "Alex." Mom's voice floated in, calm but firm. "It's time." He swallowed, trying to steady his racing heart. Every step toward the bedroom felt heavier than the last. When he opened the door, she was there, holding a pair of black stilettos, her expression unreadable but full of intent. "These," she said, holding them out, "are the first step to learning balance, poise, and presence. You'll wear them today." Alex stared. I can't walk in those." "You can," she interrupted, voice soft yet absolute. "I'll guide you." Reluctantly, he sat as she helped him slip his feet into the heels. The moment they touched the floor, the world felt unsteady, the floor tilting beneath him. Every step was awkward, every movement exaggerated, yet Mom's hands on his shoulders and her gentle corrections forced him to adjust. "Keep your back straight," she instructed. "Chin up." Every movement is deliberate. Every glance precise. This is not just about walking. This is about being seen. He stumbled at first, flinching with every wobble. But slowly, under her watchful eyes, he began to find a rhythm. The mirror reflected a trembling, awkward figure, yet something inside him stirred. A strange pride in mastering even the smallest step. Mom guided him to the vanity next, a collection of makeup meticulously arranged. "Now," she said, "we start with appearances. The face is the first stage of transformation." Alex's stomach churned. The brushes, powders, and creams looked alien, yet the way she demonstrated each movement, the way she applied blush, eyeliner, and mascara, left him mesmerized. "Look closely," she whispered, holding a small mirror to his face. "See what you can become." Alex's reflection shifted under her hands, softened cheekbones, larger eyes, lips defined by gentle strokes of color. He barely recognized himself. A rush of conflicting emotions hit him, shame, awe, fear, and a strange, unbidden excitement. "You're learning fast," Mom murmured, a hint of satisfaction in her tone. "But this is only the beginning. Appearance without demeanor is nothing." She guided him through posture, the subtle sway of hips, the tilt of the head, and the delicate movement of hands. Every gesture felt foreign, yet every correction reinforced her control. Alex felt small, exposed, and intensely aware of her dominance. Hours passed like minutes. Alex's muscles ached, his mind reeled, but by the end of the day, he had learned more about feminine movement than he ever imagined. The mirror no longer reflected just a trembling boy. It reflected someone new, someone Mom was crafting meticulously. As he collapsed onto the bed, exhausted, Mom's voice cut through his fog. "Tomorrow," she said, "we take it outside. It's time for the world to see your lessons in action." Alex's chest tightened. The thought of public exposure terrified him, yet a part of him, the same part that had been captivated by the dress, felt a dangerous anticipation. Was he being controlled? He wondered, heart pounding. Or was this something he secretly wanted? The room was silent except for his ragged breathing. The reflection in the mirror stared back, softer, delicate, and disturbingly beautiful. Just as Alex closed his eyes, imagining the coming trials, a soft laugh echoed from the doorway. Mom leaned against the frame, eyes glinting with calculated amusement. "Sleep well, Alex. Tomorrow, you won't just learn. You'll begin to change." Every step outside felt like a trap. Would anyone recognize me? The morning sun glinted harshly through the blinds, signaling the start of a day Alex had been dreading. He had trained at home, practiced walking, posture, and speech, and yet the thought of leaving the safety of his room made his stomach twist. Today, Mom had decided the world would witness his transformation. He stood in front of the full-length mirror, clad in a fitted blouse and skirt, heels clicking softly against the hardwood floor. The reflection staring back was no longer just a boy playing dress-up. It was a feminine figure molded by Mom's meticulous guidance. And yet, fear twisted tightly around his chest. "Relax," Mom instructed from the doorway, her voice deceptively gentle. "It's just people, just strangers. They'll see you, but they won't know. Just walk, smile, be beautiful." Alex tried to nod, swallowing the lump in his throat. I can't. What if someone recognizes me?" Mom stepped closer, tilting his chin up with a finger. "Then you'll deal with it. But hiding will teach you nothing." Her words were soft, but they carried the weight of command. With a deep breath, Alex followed her out the door, heels clicking on the sidewalk. Each step was deliberate, each sway of his hips monitored by her watchful gaze. The streets were alive with the weekend crowd. Mothers pushed strollers, teenagers laughed, and strangers passed by oblivious to the secret he carried. And yet, every glance that lingered on him, every whisper he imagined, felt like a magnifying glass on his shame. Alex tried to focus on his posture, his voice, his hands, but it was impossible. His heart pounded with fear and an unsettling thrill. People were staring. Some smiled. Some whispered. Each reaction was a dagger and a bomb all at once. "You're doing wonderfully," Mom said, her hand briefly brushing his back. "Look at yourself. Isn't it freeing?" He hated her for that question. Hated the truth in it. He had to admit a small, guilty part of him was enjoying the attention, the way strangers admired him without knowing. But another part screamed, "This isn't me. This isn't who I am." A sudden voice broke through his thoughts. "Hey, you're really pretty." Alex froze, cheeks burning. A boy, not much older than him, was smiling warmly, not mocking, not curious, genuinely complimenting him. His heart thudded violently, a mix of embarrassment and something else, a confusing flutter he couldn't name. Mom's eyes flickered with amusement.
"See?
They notice. They respond. You're learning fast." Alex wanted to disappear, to hide under his skirt, to melt into the crowd. Yet every step he took, guided by Mom's subtle touches and corrections, solidified the split between who he was and who he appeared to be. At the mall, the real test began. People whispered, Some stared openly, and one woman actually snapped a quick photo. Alex's hands clenched at his sides, nails digging into the fabric of his skirt. He felt exposed in a way he had never imagined, every male privilege he had once taken for granted slipping away. Mom led him to a cafe, insisting they sit in the open. "Drink something," she said, pointing at a frappe. "Smile at the people around you. Let them see the real you." Alex obeyed, heart racing. Each sip felt like a performance, every glance a reminder of his vulnerability. He could feel himself blushing at every whispered word, even the harmless ones. And then, the boy from earlier walked by, smiling again. Alex's stomach twisted, a mixture of shame, arousal, and something dangerously intoxicating. Mom leaned close, whispering into his ear. "Every glance, every word, every step, this is how you learn control.
And desire. And fear.
And beauty." Alex shivered, unable to respond. The public exposure was more than humiliation. It was a mirror of his soul, forcing him to confront feelings he didn't understand, desires he couldn't name, and the unsettling emergence of a new identity. As they left the mall, Alex felt someone staring from across the street. Heart racing, he realized this journey wasn't just about learning to be seen. Someone knew him, or was about to recognize the secret he couldn't hide any longer. He smiled at me, and my heart skipped in ways I didn't understand. Alex hadn't expected the encounter to linger in his mind. The boy from the mall, Ethan, as he later learned, had approached him with a warm smile, casual but genuine. Unlike the strangers who had stared, whispered, or passed judgment, Ethan's gaze didn't feel invasive. It was oddly comforting, and yet, it stirred something unfamiliar deep inside Alex. After the mall outing, Mom had insisted they return home, her expression unreadable but satisfied. Alex walked beside her, heels clicking against the pavement, each step reminding him how public exposure had shifted something inside him. The dress, the posture, the attention, all of it lingered like a faint perfume he couldn't wash off. Once inside, Mom leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Well?" she asked, voice calm, but with an edge Alex couldn't ignore. "How did it feel to be seen?" Alex swallowed hard. "Terrifying but not entirely awful," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The words shocked him, even he hadn't expected to confess such a truth. Mom's eyes glinted with a mix of amusement and pride. "That's part of it. Fear and pleasure often dance together. The trick is to let it guide you, not frighten you." Alex nodded, though uncertainty clawed at him. Pleasure? Fear? Guide me? His thoughts were chaotic, but one thing lingered: the boy. Ethan. The next day, as if orchestrated by some cruel fate, Ethan appeared again. Alex had been sent to a small cafe to practice being casual in public. He adjusted his skirt nervously, heels precarious beneath him, when a familiar voice called out, "Hey, you again." Alex looked up. Ethan smiled, the same warm, easy grin. "I saw you yesterday at the mall. Didn't expect to see you here." Alex felt his chest tighten. His heart raced, a dangerous flutter he didn't understand. I come here sometimes," he mumbled, voice trembling. Ethan chuckled. "I see. Well, I thought I'd say hi. I'm Ethan." "I'm Alex," he replied, and immediately cursed the slight crack in his voice. It sounded softer, higher, more feminine than it should have. His face burned. Mom watched from a corner, unnoticed, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. She didn't intervene. She let Alex navigate this new, confusing interaction. Control, after all, wasn't always about force. Sometimes it was about subtle manipulation. Ethan pulled out a chair, gesturing for Alex to sit. "Mind if I join you?" Alex nodded, legs crossed instinctively, feeling an unfamiliar sense of vulnerability and thrill. Sitting there, across from a boy who didn't know his true identity, Alex felt emotions collide: shame, excitement, curiosity, and something dangerously intimate. As they talked, Alex struggled to maintain composure. Every laugh, every glance, every casual gesture felt magnified. Ethan's eyes sparkled with genuine interest, and Alex found himself wanting to impress him, even in this feminine guise. Mom's quiet observation amplified Alex's inner turmoil. She hadn't spoken a word, yet her presence, the knowledge that she could intervene at any moment, made him hyper-aware of every movement, every word, every blush. Hours passed in a blur of conversation. Ethan was kind, teasing in a gentle way, never cruel. He made Alex laugh, blush, and sometimes stumble over words. Each moment eroded Alex's resistance, building an internal storm he didn't yet understand. Finally, as they parted, Ethan smiled and said, "See you around hopefully soon." Alex walked home, heels clicking against the pavement, heart pounding. Mom was waiting, leaning casually against the doorframe, her expression unreadable. "Interesting, isn't he?" she asked softly. Alex swallowed, cheeks burning. "Why, he's nice." Mom tilted her head, eyes narrowing slightly. "Remember this feeling. Curiosity, attraction, vulnerability, all tools. And you, Alex, are learning how to wield them, whether you like it or not." Alone in his room, Alex collapsed onto the bed. The image of Ethan's smile, the warmth of his eyes, the casual intimacy of their conversation, it lingered. He traced the hem of his skirt absent-mindedly, mind and body aflame with a mix of shame and desire. "What's happening to me?" he wondered, staring at the ceiling. "Why does being seen like this feel so intoxicating?" Later that night, as he tried to sleep, Alex heard the faint sound of Mom's heels outside his door. A soft, deliberate knock followed. "It's time for your next lesson," she whispered. "And this one involves someone you care about." Every glance in the mirror felt like a challenge, to become someone I didn't know I could be. Alex woke with a tightness in his chest, memories of yesterday's encounter with Ethan lingering like embers threatening to ignite. Mom's words from the night before replayed over and over. "This lesson involves someone you care about." He didn't know if he wanted to face it. His hands trembled slightly as he slipped into the outfit Mom had laid out, a soft, pastel blouse tucked neatly into a pleated skirt, complemented by sleek heels that made every step deliberate. The mirror reflected him, more polished, more feminine, more controlled than ever before. Mom entered quietly, observing him with an intensity that made his heart race. "Today," she began, "we refine. You've learned walking, posture, appearance, and attention. But now you must master the art of being seen, by those who matter most." Alex swallowed hard, the weight of her gaze pinning him. I'm ready," he whispered, though the word felt alien on his tongue. She smiled, a mix of pride and dominance. "Good. But being seen isn't just about appearance. It's about expression, emotion, subtle cues. You must control what people perceive and what they desire to perceive." The lesson began with the mirror. Mom guided him through expressions, soft smiles, subtle pouts, the slight tilt of a head. Every movement was dissected, corrected, and perfected. Alex felt a strange exhilaration in his own reflection, the thrill of being observed and critiqued mixing with embarrassment and arousal. "Look at yourself," Mom whispered, her finger tracing the outline of his jaw in the mirror. "Do you see potential? Do you see beauty?" Alex's fingers traced the hem of his blouse. I think so," he admitted, cheeks flushing. The words tasted foreign. The reflection in the mirror looked back at him, soft, delicate, undeniably feminine. A pang of longing and confusion surged in his chest. After hours of meticulous practice at home, Mom led him to the living room, transformed into a mini-stage. She had set up chairs, a camera, and lights, turning the space into a controlled environment where Alex could practice interacting while being observed. "Imagine the audience is real," she instructed. "Ethan, strangers, anyone. Each movement, each glance, each smile must be calculated. You are performing, but the performance must feel natural." Alex's heart raced as he moved across the room, heels clicking sharply, posture perfect, hands soft and deliberate. Mom's critiques were subtle but relentless. "Tilt this way, soften that glance, arch the back slightly." Each correction intensified the psychological control she held, yet Alex felt a thrilling sense of accomplishment with every improvement. Then came the speaking lesson. Mom guided him to speak softly, sweetly, with inflections that drew attention without overtly revealing his nerves. Your voice, she said, is your tool. Use it wisely. Make people listen, make them respond, and make them desire what they see. Alex stumbled at first, voice high and hesitant, but under Mom's watchful eyes, he learned to modulate it, to turn nervousness into charm. By the end of the day, he could converse, laugh, and even tease, all while maintaining the delicate balance of vulnerability and allure. The final part of the lesson was perhaps the hardest: emotional expression. Mom instructed him to simulate scenarios, embarrassment, desire, curiosity, and to react naturally under observation. Alex's heart pounded with every test, especially when Mom suggested he imagine Ethan watching. See how your body reacts, she asked softly. Your blush, your sway, your hesitation, all of it tells a story. You must control it, bend it, and use it. Hours later, Alex collapsed in front of the mirror, sweaty, flushed, and overwhelmed. The reflection staring back at him was not just a boy in a skirt anymore. It was someone fully aware of how to command attention, how to captivate, how to seduce subtly and yet remain vulnerable. Mom watched silently, pride glimmering in her eyes. You've done well, she said. But mastery is a journey, Alex. Today was practice. Tomorrow the real world will test you. Alex sank onto the bed, mind spinning. Every glance in the mirror, every step, every word he had spoken felt like a tiny surrender of his old self, yet he couldn't deny the intoxicating thrill of control and beauty intertwined. Later that night, as Alex lay exhausted, his phone buzzed. A message from Ethan flashed on the screen. Hey, want to meet up tomorrow? I think I need your advice on something. Alex's breath caught. His heart raced, and a shiver of both fear and excitement ran down his spine. Tomorrow, Mom had said, the world would test him, and now someone he cared about would be part of that test. Every step into the sunlight felt like walking on a tightrope. One misstep could ruin everything. Alex woke with his heart pounding. Today wasn't just practice at home. Today, Mom had declared, was a test outside, in the real world, with strangers watching, judging, and reacting. He had spent weeks preparing, yet the thought of leaving the house made his palms sweat and legs tremble. Mom stood at the door, arms crossed, a faint smile on her lips. Heels polished? Outfit perfect, she asked. Alex nodded, adjusting his skirt nervously. The reflection in the mirror showed someone completely transformed, poised, feminine, and dangerously aware of how others perceived him. Yet beneath that exterior, fear and anticipation churned. Remember, Mom instructed, her voice soft but firm, today is not about hiding. It's about commanding attention, using charm, and maintaining control, even when others are unaware. Alex nodded again, swallowing hard. He could feel the weight of her expectations pressing down. The street outside was bustling. Cars honked, people walked briskly, and shops opened their doors to the morning rush. Alex's heels clicked sharply against the pavement, every step deliberate. He felt exposed. Every glance from strangers amplified his awareness of himself. He was no longer just a boy in disguise. He was a public figure of feminine allure, under the scrutiny of the world. Mom walked beside him, subtle guidance in every touch. Smile slightly when someone glances, she instructed. Tilt your head just enough. Keep your back straight and sway naturally. You are observed, even when they don't realize it. A group of teenagers walked past, whispering and giggling. Alex's stomach twisted. His face burned with humiliation, but he forced himself to keep his composure, adjusting posture and expression exactly as Mom had taught him. You're doing well, she murmured, pressing a gentle hand to his shoulder. See how they notice? They can't take their eyes off you. It was true. People glanced, lingered, and some even smiled. Each observation was a mix of thrill and terror, reinforcing the duality of his transformation. Then Ethan appeared. Across the busy sidewalk, their eyes met. Alex froze. The familiar warmth of Ethan's smile sent shivers through him, heart racing uncontrollably. Ethan waved casually, and Alex's body reacted instinctively, a blush rising, fingers trembling slightly and posture stiffening. Mom's voice whispered in his ear, "Control it. Let him see the feminine you, but never let your hesitation betray you. Remember everything you've learned." Alex took a deep breath, walking toward Ethan with deliberate steps, heels clicking in perfect rhythm. Every movement was a test, the tilt of his head, the sway of his hips, the soft cadence of his voice when he greeted Ethan. "Hey," Ethan said, grinning. "You look amazing." Alex froze, cheeks flaming. Thank you," he stammered, voice soft and slightly higher than normal. The compliment hit him like electricity, igniting a confusing mixture of pride, embarrassment, and something dangerously intimate. Mom observed from a distance, arms folded, a faint smile tugging at her lips. The real test had begun. It wasn't just about appearances or walking, it was about handling attention, desire, and emotional vulnerability in the open world. They walked together, side by side, and Ethan's casual conversation made Alex's chest tighten in ways he didn't fully understand. Every laugh, every glance, every subtle touch of Ethan's hand while passing something across the table felt magnified. The public exposure, Mom's lessons, and Ethan's attention merged into a storm of identity conflict that Alex couldn't yet navigate. Hours passed, each interaction intensifying his awareness of how feminine he looked, sounded, and behaved. He realized he was no longer just pretending. He was performing a role that others responded to, and part of him craved it, even as fear and shame battled inside. As they left the cafe, Ethan's eyes lingered on him longer than usual. Alex felt a sudden tug in his chest, desire, fear, and a yearning for approval all tangled together. And then, Mom's voice cut softly from behind, her tone a mix of warning and triumph. "Tomorrow, Alex, someone will recognize you. And when that happens, you'll see how deep the transformation goes." And then I saw him, someone from my past, staring straight at me. Alex thought he was prepared. After weeks of training with Mom, practicing walks, expressions, and public interactions, he believed he could navigate the world unnoticed. Yet nothing could have readied him for the sharp, familiar gaze that froze him mid-step outside the cafe. A voice, low and unmistakable, called his name. Alex. He turned slowly, heart hammering in his chest. Across the street stood Jake, his childhood friend, the one person who knew him intimately, his voice, his laugh, his every teenage quirk. Jake's eyes widened as recognition struck, and Alex felt a wave of panic and shame crash over him. Mom's hand was firm on his back, steadying him. "Stay calm," she whispered. "Control your reaction. Remember everything you've learned." Alex's mind raced. What do I say? How do I act? Will he recognize me? His reflection in the cafe window mocked him, a delicate, feminine figure in a fitted blouse and skirt, heels clicking on the pavement. The transformation was undeniable. Jake's steps faltered as he approached. "Wait, is that you?" he asked, voice incredulous but tinged with curiosity. Alex's cheeks burned, a mix of fear, embarrassment, and adrenaline coursing through him. He tried to smile softly, as Mom had taught him, controlled, subtle, captivating, but his voice betrayed him slightly, higher than expected. "It's me," he admitted, words trembling. "Kind of." Jake blinked, confusion written across his face. "Kind of." Mom stepped forward slightly, a faint smile on her lips. "He's exploring new sides of himself," she said smoothly. "It's a process, Jake. One that requires patience and understanding." Alex felt a rush of humiliation and exposure. Every step, every glance, every reaction felt magnified. Jake knew him, yet here he was, seeing a version Alex wasn't ready to confront. Jake's expression softened. "Wow, you look different. But beautiful," he said hesitantly. The word hit Alex like a lightning bolt. "Beautiful?" His face flamed crimson. The thrill of the compliment, combined with the crushing weight of recognition, left him breathless. Every muscle in his body tensed and quivered simultaneously. Mom's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "See, Alex," she whispered softly. "Even those from your past can't deny what you've become. You are commanding attention, admiration, and curiosity." Alex's mind swirled with conflicting emotions: fear of exposure, shame for being seen like this, excitement at Ethan's attention from before, and now Jake's recognition, all colliding in a storm he couldn't yet navigate. Jake stepped closer, examining Alex as if trying to reconcile the boy he knew with the girl before him. I don't even know what to say," he admitted. "It's you, but different. Stunning." Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to flee, hide under his skirt, or vanish into the crowd. But Mom's gentle yet commanding hand on his back reminded him he was being watched, shaped, and tested. Every moment mattered. Finally, Jake's expression softened, a small smile forming. "I guess I'll need time to adjust," he said. "But you look amazing." Alex exhaled shakily, emotions tangled. Pride, shame, embarrassment, and a strange, forbidden thrill coursed through him. He realized that recognition from someone from his past didn't break him. It solidified the new identity Mom had crafted, one that drew attention, curiosity, and even desire. Mom stepped back, satisfied. "Lesson complete, Alex. Recognition is the ultimate test. You've passed, but tomorrow, we push further." Alex walked home, heels clicking on the pavement, heart racing. Jake's words and gaze haunted him, mingling with Ethan's memory and Mom's controlling presence. He realized he was no longer just a boy or a girl in training. He was someone new, someone others noticed, admired, and desired, whether he liked it or not. That night, as Alex tried to sleep, he received a message from Ethan. "Saw you today. Couldn't stop thinking about you. We need to talk." Alex's pulse surged. Mom's next lesson was coming, and now it involved two people who saw him, in ways he never expected, both challenging and amplifying his transformation. "I knew walking into that cafe would change everything, but I didn't know it would consume me." Alex's heart raced as he approached the small, bustling cafe where Ethan had asked to meet him. He had spent the morning perfecting every detail: hair, makeup, posture, and the subtle sway of his hips, under Mom's careful supervision. The lessons had drilled into him precision, charm, and control, yet now, outside the safe confines of home, all his nerves converged into a chaotic storm. He pushed the door open, the bell chiming softly. Ethan was already seated, smiling warmly, eyes lighting up at the sight of him. Every instinct screamed flight, yet every lesson Mom had taught tugged him forward, to face attention, scrutiny, and desire with poise. "Hey," Ethan greeted, standing to offer a hug. Alex stiffened, nerves and anticipation colliding. When Ethan's arm brushed against his, a shock ran through him. The body he had been reshaping reacted involuntarily, cheeks flushing and breath catching. "Hi," Alex whispered, voice soft, feminine, and trembling. Ethan gestured toward the table.
"Sit, relax.
"I want to talk, and I need your advice." As they sat, Alex felt every gesture magnified. The tilt of his head, the subtle crossing of his legs, the gentle sweep of his hair, it was all amplified by the soft lighting and close proximity. Ethan's presence stirred emotions he didn't understand: excitement, embarrassment, and an undeniable attraction. "Alex, I don't know how to say this," Ethan began, his eyes scanning Alex's face, "but you're incredible. And different in a way I can't explain." Alex's chest tightened. The words, combined with the intimacy of Ethan's gaze, made him shiver with conflicted emotions. Mom's teachings echoed in his mind: project allure, control desire, maintain poise. But inside, he felt raw, exposed, and intoxicatingly feminine. "I thank you," Alex murmured, forcing a delicate smile. His fingers fidgeted with the hem of his skirt, subtle yet noticeable. The lesson of controlling reactions under observation was in full effect. Ethan leaned closer, voice lower. I mean, you're beautiful. And being with you even like this, it's confusing. But I like it. I like you. Alex's breath caught. Shame and exhilaration collided, his body reacting involuntarily to the words and attention. He felt heat rise to his face, a shiver run down his spine, and his chest tighten with emotions he couldn't name. Then Mom appeared, as if she had silently followed, her presence immediately commanding the space. Good, she whispered, eyes glinting. This is your test, Alex. Desire, control, exposure. All of it. Alex froze. Mom's gaze pinned him, her expectations clear. He had to navigate this encounter balancing allure, vulnerability, and obedience, while managing his feelings for Ethan. Ethan looked between the two, sensing the tension but unaware of Mom's role. Is she your friend?" he asked, confusion knitting his brow. "She's helping me learn," Alex said softly, voice higher and softer than usual. Every syllable was carefully measured, influenced by Mom's training. The minutes stretched endlessly. Every laugh, glance, and movement became a high-stakes game of control and exposure. Alex realized the intensity of his lessons. This was the culmination of everything he had learned: public composure, feminine allure, emotional manipulation, and intimate vulnerability. By the time they parted, Alex felt emotionally drained, yet undeniably aware of his feminine power. Ethan's lingering smile and soft words, "See you soon, I want to know more about you," sent a shiver down Alex's spine, leaving him trembling with a mixture of pride, shame, and desire. Back home, Mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed, a satisfied smirk on her lips. "Today, you proved you can command attention, handle desire, and remain in control. Tomorrow, we push the boundaries even further. Someone else will witness you in ways you aren't ready for." Every eye on me felt like a challenge and a test I wasn't sure I could pass. The sun had barely risen when Mom announced today's plan: a walk through the busiest part of the city, a high-traffic area where strangers' attention would be unavoidable. Alex's stomach twisted with both fear and anticipation. He had trained, practiced, and faced Ethan, but this was different: complete public exposure, unfiltered, and intense. Mom surveyed him critically as he stood in front of the mirror. His outfit was carefully chosen: a fitted blouse that highlighted his figure, a short skirt, and heels that forced every movement to be deliberate. Hair and makeup were flawless, as Mom demanded perfection. "You are visible," she said softly, circling him. "And today, everyone will notice. The lesson is simple: survive the scrutiny, command attention, and remain in control of your emotions, all while maintaining feminine allure." Alex's heart pounded. Visible, command attention, survive scrutiny. The words repeated in his head, a mantra and a warning at once. They stepped onto the crowded street. Every glance from passers-by seemed magnified, every whisper amplified in his ears. Alex felt the old sense of invisibility vanish, replaced by acute awareness of how he moved, spoke, and breathed. A group of teenagers walking past nudged each other, whispering. Alex's cheeks burned. He swayed slightly as he walked, practicing the poise Mom had drilled into him, heels clicking in perfect rhythm. Every step was a mixture of terror and exhilaration. Then, Ethan appeared. His eyes locked on Alex instantly, and he waved, walking toward him with an effortless smile. Alex felt a shock of adrenaline, cheeks flaming, as he tried to maintain composure. "Hey again," Ethan said, voice low, teasing. "You're stunning." Alex's breath caught. Stunning? He had heard the word before, but hearing it in public, from someone he liked, while surrounded by strangers, sent shivers down his spine. Mom stayed slightly behind, her gaze sharp, watching his reactions. Every flicker of hesitation, every blush, every subtle shift of his body was observed. She didn't intervene. She let the city and Ethan's attention challenge him fully. As they walked together, Alex noticed how strangers looked: lingering glances, smiles, subtle admiration. He realized that every move, every tilt of his head, every sway of his hips communicated confidence and allure he hadn't felt before. Then came the first real challenge, a street performer's crowd. Alex had to walk past, maintaining poise while dozens of strangers watched, some smiling, some whispering. Panic surged, but Mom's subtle squeeze on his arm reminded him, "Control your emotions. Command their attention without faltering." Alex took a deep breath, walking past the crowd with deliberate grace. He felt their gazes on him, and for the first time, he allowed himself a fraction of pride amidst the fear. He wasn't invisible, he was seen, and he could handle it. Ethan mirrored his steps, walking beside him. Their proximity amplified Alex's awareness, and every touch, every glance became a storm of emotions, desire, embarrassment, thrill, and shame all intertwined. By the time they stopped for a small break at a cafe, Alex's mind spun. He had faced public attention, scrutiny, and desire, yet remained in control. The lessons Mom had drilled into him were working, but the emotional toll was enormous. Mom finally spoke, her voice soft yet commanding. "Today, you survived temptation and scrutiny in public. Tomorrow, someone important from your past will confront you, and your control will be tested further." Alex sank into his seat, heart racing. The city, Ethan, and Mom's relentless training had pushed him to the edge of his endurance, yet the thrill, humiliation, and awakening of desire left him hungry for the next challenge. As they left the cafe, Alex's eyes met someone across the street, a figure from his childhood who had never forgotten him. Their gaze was sharp, knowing, and unyielding. Alex's heart skipped a beat. Exposure was no longer just a lesson, it was becoming permanent. "I froze the moment I saw him. The one person who knew me before all of this." Alex's heart raced as he recognized the figure across the street, Ryan, his former classmate and close childhood friend. Ryan's eyes locked on him instantly, scanning from head to toe. Recognition flashed, sharp and undeniable. Alex felt a wave of panic and shame crash over him. This was no casual observation. This was intimate knowledge, a mirror to his past self staring back. Mom's hand rested lightly on his shoulder, steadying him. "Stay calm," she whispered. "This is exactly what I've been preparing you for. Control your fear, and you'll control the situation." Alex tried to nod, but his body betrayed him. Heat rose to his face, knees quivered slightly, and his chest tightened. Every lesson, every practice, seemed distant compared to the intensity of being recognized by someone from before his transformation. Ryan stepped closer, his voice a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. "Alex, is that really you?" Alex swallowed hard. He wanted to flee, hide, pretend it wasn't him. But the mirror of the past was unyielding. "Why, yes," he whispered, voice soft and feminine, trembling. The words themselves were a surrender of his old identity. Ryan's brow furrowed, scanning Alex's face and body. You look different. But beautiful," he admitted, awe and confusion mingling in his tone. Alex's stomach twisted. Pride, shame, fear, and exhilaration all collided. Mom's lessons had prepared him for public scrutiny, but not the intimate knowledge of someone who knew him before. Every muscle in his body tensed, every heartbeat echoed in his ears. Mom's gaze was sharp, observant, but she didn't intervene. "Recognition is the ultimate test," she murmured. "Show him control, Alex. Show him who you are now, fully." Alex took a deep breath, walking closer to Ryan. He had to project poise, charm, and femininity while suppressing panic and embarrassment. Each step was deliberate, heels clicking, posture perfect, movements fluid. He had become a performance, controlled, captivating, and undeniably feminine. Ryan's eyes lingered, a mixture of shock and admiration. I don't even know what to say," he confessed. "You're amazing. Truly." Alex felt heat rush to his cheeks. The compliment, combined with the recognition, made his body respond in ways that terrified and thrilled him simultaneously. He wanted to flee, hide, and yet he felt a deep, intoxicating pride. "Thank you," he whispered softly, voice trembling yet melodic. Every word was infused with the lessons Mom had drilled into him. Projection, allure, and control. He was learning to wield his new identity as both shield and weapon. Ryan reached out, hesitating. "It's really you, isn't it?" Alex nodded, heart hammering. Every instinct screamed caution, yet he allowed a slight, controlled smile to touch his lips. "Yes, it's me," he admitted, fully aware that his transformation was on display, vulnerable yet commanding attention. Mom finally stepped forward, her voice calm but commanding. "Alex has grown, Ryan. The world sees him differently now, and he's learning to embrace that." Alex's knees felt weak. The confrontation, the recognition, and the flood of emotions overwhelmed him, leaving him both elated and terrified. He realized that his old self was slipping further away, replaced by someone who could charm, captivate, and endure scrutiny, yet someone who still carried fragments of fear, shame, and desire. That night, alone in his room, Alex received a text from Ethan. "I saw you today, and I can't stop thinking about how amazing you looked. Can we meet tomorrow? I need to see you like this." Alex's pulse surged. Mom's next lesson was about to intertwine public exposure, personal desire, and emotional vulnerability, pushing him even further down a path he wasn't sure he could resist or escape. Every glance from him felt like fire. I wanted to flee, yet my body betrayed me. The morning sunlight spilled into Alex's room, casting a warm glow over the carefully arranged outfit Mom had laid out. A delicate lace blouse, a high-waisted skirt, and heels that demanded every movement be deliberate. Today, Mom said, was about pushing the boundaries of temptation and desire, a test unlike any before. Alex's stomach twisted with anticipation and anxiety. His mind raced with memories of Ethan's lingering glances, Jake's recognition, and Ryan's confrontation. Each interaction had left emotional echoes, pulling him between pride, fear, and undeniable attraction. Mom entered, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of pride and control. "Today," she said softly, circling him, "we test how well you can command desire, not just attention. You will interact, respond, and project allure in ways that challenge your control." Alex's hands trembled as he adjusted the outfit. The heels pinched slightly, the skirt hugged his hips just enough to make every step deliberate and visible. He looked at himself in the mirror, seeing a reflection that was increasingly foreign, delicate, feminine, poised, yet undeniably Alex. "You are ready," Mom whispered. "But remember, desire can overwhelm. Control it, or it will control you." The plan was simple, yet terrifying. A private meeting with Ethan in a semi-public setting where Alex's femininity, allure, and emotional vulnerability would be directly observed and tested. As he arrived at the cafe, his heartbeat thundered in his chest. Ethan was already there, smiling warmly, eyes lighting up the moment he saw Alex. Every step toward him felt like a trial, heels clicking, skirt swaying, posture perfect. Alex felt exposed and exhilarated, caught between fear and the intoxicating thrill of being desired. "Alex," Ethan said softly, voice low and inviting. "You look incredible." The word hit Alex like lightning. Pride and shame collided, his body responding in ways he couldn't fully control. Heat flushed his cheeks, and his breath caught involuntarily. Mom's presence, though subtle, was palpable, a quiet reminder of control, discipline, and psychological dominance. Every glance, every movement, every flicker of hesitation was observed. Alex realized the lesson: to wield desire without surrendering himself completely, balancing vulnerability and composure. Their conversation began casually, but soon shifted. Ethan leaned closer, voice softer, teasing. "I can't stop thinking about how captivating you are. It's like seeing you for the first time." Alex's chest tightened, emotions surging uncontrollably. Shame, desire, pride, and fear intertwined, leaving him breathless. His body reacted to Ethan's attention, a visceral response to recognition, admiration, and attraction. And yet, Mom's training echoed in his mind. Control, compose, project confidence. He forced a gentle, controlled smile, tilting his head just slightly, allowing a feminine allure to shine through while keeping his emotional turmoil masked. Every gesture, every soft laugh, every careful movement was a dance of power and vulnerability. Hours passed, each moment amplifying Alex's internal struggle. Public exposure, intimate attention, and Mom's subtle control created a storm of emotions he hadn't anticipated. By the end of the meeting, he was emotionally raw, physically aware, and psychologically transformed. Back at home, Mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes glinting. "You handled him well," she said softly. "But tomorrow, someone from your past will confront you again. And this time, the world will watch. Are you ready?" Alex sank into the chair, trembling. Every lesson, every temptation, every recognition had brought him closer to a point of no return, and he could feel it. The moment I stepped onto the street, I knew nothing would ever be the same. Alex's hands shook as he adjusted his skirt in the mirror. Today was different. Mom's plan was clear: face the public fully, including someone from his past who knew him before the transformation. The idea of being observed, judged, and recognized simultaneously sent waves of fear, shame, and adrenaline through him. He took a deep breath, adjusting the blouse, smoothing the hair, and gripping the straps of his heels. Every movement was deliberate. The lessons of poise, charm, and allure drilled into him over weeks were now being tested under real-world scrutiny. Mom's gaze was piercing, yet calm. "Remember," she said softly, circling him, "this is about control. Public exposure, recognition, and desire, all at once. Fail, and your old self may reassert itself. Succeed, and you will see how far your transformation has truly gone." Alex nodded, swallowing hard. He felt the weight of every expectation pressing down on him, and yet a strange thrill pulsed through his veins. Stepping outside, the city's hustle hit him immediately. People moved past, some glancing, some whispering. Every stare, every murmur heightened his awareness of his feminine presence and vulnerability. He was no longer invisible. He was an object of attention, desired, scrutinized, and observed. Then he saw him, Ryan, standing near a coffee stand, eyes fixed. Recognition lit up Ryan's face instantly. Alex froze, heart hammering, feeling exposed in a way no lesson could have fully prepared him for. Mom's hand rested lightly on his back. "Control it," she whispered. "Show him who you are now. Command attention, even from someone who knew the boy you used to be." Alex took a step forward, heels clicking against the pavement. His posture, tilt of the head, and sway of the hips were precise. Every motion radiated confidence, allure, and feminine poise. Ryan's gaze scanned him completely. "Alex, wow," he whispered, almost inaudible over the city noise. You've changed, but incredible. Truly." Alex felt a shiver of exhilaration and humiliation. Pride clashed with fear, the old identity slipping further, replaced by this new, feminine persona that captivated everyone around him. Then Ethan appeared, walking toward him from the opposite direction. Their eyes met, and Alex's chest tightened. Desire, fear, and excitement collided as both men observed him. One from his past, one from his present, each seeing different sides of him, each challenging his identity in unique ways. Mom stepped back, observing silently. Her eyes gleamed with triumph. Alex realized that this was the culmination of weeks of manipulation, training, and emotional conditioning. Every glance, every whisper, every step was a test of how far he had changed. As they all converged on the crowded street, Alex's mind spun. He had to maintain poise under observation, control desire, and navigate the emotional turbulence of recognition and attraction. Every second felt like a trial, every step a performance. By the time they parted, Alex was trembling, emotionally raw, physically aware, and psychologically transformed. He understood more than ever that the world would now always see him as this new persona. There was no going back, only forward, into the uncertain, intoxicating territory Mom had created for him. That night, as Alex tried to sleep, his phone buzzed. A message from Ryan appeared. I need to see you alone. There's so much I don't understand, but I can't stop thinking about you. Alex's heart raced. The public exposure had escalated, and now private temptation from someone who knew his past loomed. Mom's next lesson was about to push him even further beyond fear, desire, and control. Everything I had become, everything I had learned, led to this moment, and I couldn't turn back. Alex sat in his room, trembling. His phone buzzed again, Ryan's message flashing across the screen. Meet me tonight.
Alone.
I need to see you as you. Every lesson, every humiliation, every thrill from the past weeks surged in his mind. He had been exposed publicly, tested with Ethan, and confronted by someone from his past. His body, mind, and emotions had been stretched to the breaking point. And now, he had to make a decision: accept this new identity fully, or cling to the boy he once was. Mom appeared at the doorway, calm yet commanding. Tonight, she said softly, you will face desire, recognition, and temptation all at once. You can flee, or you can embrace everything you've become. Your choice determines your future. Alex's chest tightened. Fear, excitement, and shame intertwined. His reflection in the mirror stared back, delicate, feminine, and undeniably beautiful, a version of himself he had never imagined. He remembered the lessons: walking, speaking, gesturing with poise, controlling desire while being observed, embracing femininity even under humiliation. Every flicker of doubt, every blush, every involuntary shiver had shaped him into someone captivating, exposed, and powerful. Taking a deep breath, Alex chose to step into the night, heels clicking against the pavement, skirt swaying, and posture flawless. Each movement radiated confidence, allure, and vulnerability, a combination that drew attention without losing control. Ryan waited in a quiet park, eyes wide with anticipation. Alex, he whispered, voice full of awe and curiosity. I've never seen anything like this. You're incredible. Alex's chest tightened. Desire, shame, and pride swirled. It's me, he admitted softly, voice trembling. All of it. Ryan stepped closer, studying him.
I don't know what to say.
You're beautiful, Alex. More than I ever imagined. The words hit him like lightning. His body responded instinctively, shivers running through him, cheeks flushed. And yet, he remembered Mom's teachings: control desire, project confidence, embrace allure. He allowed a subtle smile to play on his lips, tilting his head in a way that balanced vulnerability and command. Ethan appeared shortly after, drawn by curiosity and concern, completing the triangle of attention and desire. Alex's heart raced. Two men, both captivated by him, both recognizing his transformation in different ways. Mom watched from a distance, arms crossed, eyes gleaming. She had orchestrated every lesson, every exposure, every humiliation and triumph. And now, the culmination was here. Alex standing fully transformed, poised between fear, desire, and identity. He realized the truth. The boy he had been was gone, replaced by someone new, vulnerable yet commanding, feminine yet powerful, exposed yet in control. He could never go back, but he could define his future. Alex took a deep breath. I accept this, he whispered, voice firm. I am me, all of me. A mix of relief, pride, and exhilaration flooded him. Both Ryan and Ethan smiled, admiration and desire evident, while Mom's satisfied gaze confirmed what he already knew. The transformation was complete, and he had claimed it as his own. The night ended with quiet intimacy, tender yet electrifying. Alex walked home, heels clicking against the empty streets, each step a reminder. He had faced exposure, temptation, and recognition, and emerged fully aware, fully feminine, and fully himself. Weeks later, Alex's life had shifted entirely. Public attention, intimate connections, and Mom's guidance had reshaped his world. He no longer feared scrutiny or desire. He walked with confidence, greeted admiration with poise, and accepted his feminine identity with pride, power, and self-awareness. The boy he had been lingered only as a memory, a foundation for someone stronger, braver, and undeniably beautiful.